Hi, everybody. How are we all doing? You guys tired too? Really great show. Very, very long. And I know by Sunday we're all kind of tired. How many of you were here for either of my other two programs on Friday and Saturday? Okay. A few of you guys, that's great. I was, so when I was planning this weekend, I came up with 3 ideas for programming: drawing for animation, storyboarding for animation, which was yesterday, and then building your portfolio for animation. I used to teach at the Art Institute in Tampa, and a little bit online for the Academy of Art University here in San Francisco. But I have never taught a course that involves quite how to build your portfolio. So this is going to be kind of loose. I hope it unlocks something for some of you, but my guess is most of you guys know how to work the internet better than I do, kind of old, right? So I want to get more input on certain things like which websites to use, what programs you use. So we'll get that figured out as we go along. My name is Brandon McKinney, and I've been a storyboard artist for television animation for 25 years now. And before that, I was a comic book artist and book illustrator. I've been really, really lucky to make a living for most of my life as an artist. And, you know, sometimes it's been really profitable and sometimes it gets kind of lean. You know, my parents wanted me to have a backup plan. Quick story, when I was this isn't in the itinerary, it just came to me. When I was in 4th grade, we had to do book reports. And I found this book in the school library about bioengineering. Do you guys know what that is? It's engineering artificial limbs and organs and hearing aids, and you're building parts for the human body. And my parents are like, that's awesome. Do that as a career. You just have to go to medical school and learn engineering. And I went, yo. I got an A+ on the book report, which is why they were jazzed. But, you know, school is great. Go to school, you know, get your degree. It's always helps. But I wanted to draw superheroes. And so I kind of went that way. And my parents were like, oh, God. But they sent me to school. Without them, I couldn't have gone to UCLA, which is where I got my fine art degree. And I even had a couple teachers let me draw comics for class. So I got college credit drawing. And UCLA has an amazing film department. And so every elective I could take, I was in the animation program, taking courses. Now, this is a ways back. There was no internet. 3D animation was just getting off the ground. They had 2 computers in the whole animation department just for the grad students, so we couldn't even look at it, let alone use them. But without my parents, I couldn't have gone there. Now, my college degree has never gotten me a job in art. I've never had to prove I went to UCLA and graduated. I'm not saying that as in, I skipped school. I've learned a ton of valuable stuff. And I met other people trying to do the same thing I was, and I learned from them. It also developed my ability to socialize, you know, and interact in groups, and skills besides learning how to draw that are very important when you're working, especially in the animation field. What I wanted to do is just do a quick outline. Then I was going to go back over some of the materials I covered on Friday and Saturday. And then I wanted to open it up for questions and get your feedback as far as what are good portfolio sites that you guys might use. Sound good? Okay. So I was very lucky to not have to show a portfolio to get my first job, but a lot of people in the industry now did. And when you're building your portfolio for animation, start by look for the job you want and look for the studio that's hiring. They usually list online what they want to see in their portfolios. And we're going to do questions at the end, and I'm going to cover everything you have. Almost all of them, no matter if you're going for character design, background design, or storyboards, they want to see life drawing. They want to see that you're not just pulling stuff out of your head and drawing stuff from your imagination. They want to see that you can observe real people, real places, take them in through your eyeballs, process them through your brain, and back out your drawing hand. And it is one of the best ways to learn. I know when I was a young artist in high school, I'm like, drawing real people, that stinks. I want to draw Superman. But as I got older and as I did more life drawing, I found my skills developing faster than ever. So I can't recommend this enough. Now, what is life drawing? Has anyone here taken a life drawing class with a model by a show of hands? Okay, great. You don't need to go to a class to do it. One of the people who works on Harley, he's a director, Junki Park. Look him up on Instagram. He posts on social media sketches he's done of real people he's observed having lunch, sitting in the park. It's hard to life draw a moving figure, so you usually get people sitting or standing, but they're relatively still. But still, there's something about observing real life and drawing that. So either take a class or take a sketchbook out to a park or someplace where crowds gather, a restaurant, and draw real people. Also, go and draw the street you live on. Go downtown and draw skyscrapers. It may not be pretty, it may not be your best work, but it's like working out, right? It kind of sucks when you're doing it, but then you're strong and you're better and you feel good for having done it. So go out and life draw as much as possible. But in general, most studios want to see life drawing. They also want to see, a lot of times, your process. You don't want to fill your portfolio with beautiful finished illustrations and nothing else. You want to show that you can sketch, that you make mistakes, and you know how to fix them. And they want to see examples of the type of job you're applying for. Now, there we go. You want to choose your job. It helps if you have a focus in your animation career. The jobs that require drawing can be condensed down to about 3, at least in television animation. Video games have concept arts, and they paint and they bring stuff out of their imagination. It's amazing. But for television animation, you are usually either a character designer, right? You create the look of what the characters are going to look like in the show. Or you're a background artist. So you're developing all the environments the characters are in. Or, and this is what I do, you're a storyboard artist. And what we do is we take the character designs and the background designs and we put them all together into shots and scenes that tell the story of the episode or the show we're working. Now, as a character designer, you want to show, a lot of this is repetitive, right? You want to show life drawing. You want to show that you can draw real people, ordinary people, not just cartoony characters or superheroes or, soldiers or whatever. You also want to show your process. Show them these rough, sketchy images. Keep it loose. And then you want to show examples of model sheets. Let me go. I'm going to show you guys an example of model sheets that I showed yesterday. Okay, this was from Harley Quinn episode. And this, we got it twice. This was the initial concept drawing of Batman in his armor, inspired by some comics. All the Harley animated stuff is inspired by comics, right? We use a lot of D-list and C-list villains and try to make them funny. So these were the comic panels that the character designer looked at. And he drew this initial concept and simplified it for animation. And this is drawn in the style of the Harley Quinn show. That is a better example of a concept drawing. A turnaround looks more like that. So this is Bane. Do you guys watch the Harley Quinn show or see clips on YouTube? I think you can watch the first episode on YouTube for free. Bane is a hilarious character. The voice actor kind of spoofs Tom Hardy in Dark Knight Returns. And he's, he's usually the butt of the joke. But this is what a model sheet typically looks like. We have a front view of the character. Then we have kind of a 3/4 view. Then a side, and then a back 3/4. Some people do, you basically flip all these drawings and you get a complete turnaround. And this is so that anybody working on the show, storyboard artists, animators, they know how to draw every character from most angles. So if you want to be a character designer in animation, do a few of these. Do your own characters. Or turn, somebody from Game of Thrones into an animated character to show how you would translate real life into animation. I'm not saying we only use Game of Thrones, but maybe take a movie character and make them look animated. So you want to show examples of the job you want to do. I wish I had examples of backwards. So on Harley Quinn, we tend to use SketchUp, which used to be a Google program, 3D modeling program. And we have amazing designers that build most of our environments in SketchUp, which helps the storyboard artists out a lot. So we can go into the model, move the camera around, and get the exact shot we want for the background, hit print screen or, whatever, capture image, or I forget the command in Apple. And then we can paste those into our storyboards. Whereas before, the wonder of 3D models, we had to hand draw every single background in perspective and keep it simple, but it took a lot of time. So as a background artist, show drawings of real places. Again, life drawing doesn't just mean humans. Draw from life, draw buildings, draw streets, draw trees, nature, and draw stuff out of your imagination. What would an alien landscape look like? Or a science fiction laboratory? Get creative. Show your roughs,
your rough sketches of generating concepts, and then show these examples of fictional environments. Now, as a story artist, you want to show life drawing everything. People, places, people in places is ideal because you have to draw that a lot. Now, old school, what I mean by that is the way we used to draw storyboards. Not that. No. I used to work on a show called Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes. And I got to draw this cool fight between the Hulk and I think Abomination. So we used to work on these 8.5-inch by 14-inch sheets of paper with 4 panels arranged vertically. And we would have to draw like this. So we would dissolve into this shot of the sun. And then the camera would pan down to reveal this giant cube, which is a prism. Then we would cut that triangle down there on the bottom. We would cut into a close-up of this dude being carried through a smoky environment, and then the camera would truck out. So the shot would widen from a close-up to a wider upshot of the Hulk carrying this guy. This was kind of my master shot for the background. When we had to draw with paper and pencil, if you want to do multiple panels of the same shot or scene, you had to trace over the background in every panel. And that just is, they call it pencil mileage. It's a lot of effort, right? For now, thank goodness, we do most of our storyboards digitally. So we draw the background once and then copy and paste, to be able to reuse it. But we want to show a sequence of images to tell the animators what we want to see. So we would cut to this wide upshot of a hallway and this silhouette of a Hulk grabbing a pillar and throwing it away, kicking this door towards the camera. So I guess I didn't redraw the background in every shot. That would have stung. But this is something I would use in my portfolio. I could either send them a digital PDF like this or put it up on a website. And we're going to get to that soon. But we had to read it one panel at a time, and it was laborious. Now, let me go back to the word. New school. Build an animatic of your sequential storytelling. Multiple panels of characters talking or performing an action in a sequence. Have you guys all heard of animatics? Great. They're basically slideshows of your storyboard panels shown as a movie. They often have dialogue, sound effects, not really music. That's kind of later. After it's all animated, you put music to that. But these days, my portfolio site, which I've had to update recently, is a Vimeo site. And I upload, I think, QuickTime files of my animatics for people to watch and view that way. Let me show you an example of an animatic that I showed yesterday. Let's go to Acrobat here. We'll go back to the Harley. And I think this might be up on my portfolio site. But this is kind of what we show for storyboards now. This is a 3D model. Could you imagine having to draw this over and over and over, all this complicated perspective and, armatures of all the cranes? Okay, I'm going to play it. It's about 3 minutes long. Can everybody see it okay? All right, I'm going to get it. If I knew how to do that. Ooh. Are they over there?
Okay, there you go.
You can see the finished animation of that on YouTube if you Google like Batman, Bane, Harley Quinn show. It should all be there. I think people upload clips, not legal, but it's there and it promotes the show. So watch the heck out of it, please. So yeah, for a story artist, you would want to make your own animatics and put them up on a website. You can make your own YouTube page. Vimeo is a pretty good site that I don't know if it costs anything, where you can upload libraries, and call it Storyboard Portfolio. Let's go back to our outline here. Do's and don'ts. I have to admit, I Googled building a storyboard portfolio so I could get material for this. But it's all real, and I agree with it. So show your best work. Don't put in something you did 5 years ago that you would have to explain, well, I do better work now. No. Always put your best work that you're most proud of and put your best stuff in front. Okay? Don't explain why something you put in there is bad or make excuses for it. Nobody wants to hear that. They just want to look at your work, and you should be proud of it. Okay? The work should speak for itself. Do include work that is appropriate for the job and show for which you are applying. If you're trying for a show like SpongeBob, maybe you don't show them Batman animated samples. You would want to show something in a more cartoony vein. And life drawing may not be as vital in your portfolio as... Now, you know what? Always put it in. Do it. Even drawing in a cartoony fashion, life drawing helps. It just always helps. And it's fun once you get into it. Don't ever use somebody else's work. So don't put in a nice illustration that you copied from another artist going, here's my interpretation of it. What you can do is if you're trying out for SpongeBob, do your own drawings of SpongeBob. Don't copy existing drawings. Draw SpongeBob in unique poses, doing something we haven't seen him do before, or do your own versions of that character to show that you know how to draw the character and you can draw in that style. Do keep your portfolio up to date, taking out older work, replacing it with new as you go. Don't be brought down if you don't get the job. I have tried out for a lot of jobs and I just wasn't right for them, or the politics didn't work out, like, the director knew somebody and he wanted to give them the gig, or I wasn't qualified. Back in 1992, I had just graduated college, and I was working with a comic artist who was doing animation. We were working together. He knew Bruce Timm. You guys know who Bruce Timm is? Creator of the Batman animated series. He got me an interview at Warner Brothers with Bruce Timm in 1992. Holy crap, the show hadn't even come out yet. And I did this really bad, I didn't think it was bad, but I did this comic book, realistic style Batman and Robin in ink wash. And I look back on it now and I'm like, oh, no wonder I didn't get the job. But he gave me an interview and he was really nice about it. And I was a little down, but I'm like, no big deal. I want to draw comics. And luckily I was able to, until 1999, when Batman Beyond was getting started and season 2 was happening, and a fellow artist had gone down to LA. I was living in the Bay Area. He was working as a character designer, and he said, they need storyboard artists. And I got to try it. I had to do a sample board from a script they gave me, and that was my very first animation. So a portfolio didn't give me work. A friend's recommendation did, and the fact that I practiced and learned storyboarding, learned how to draw in different styles, helped get me work. And then I would use the storyboards that I did professionally as my portfolio to get other jobs. Yeah, don't get bummed out if you try out for something and it doesn't work out. If you can, ask them where you fell short and try to work on it and develop it more. Do include your most current contact information. Whether it's on a website or a PDF, always have your name, phone number, and email. Not necessarily your street address. They don't need that until you're filling out paperwork, but ways to get a hold of you. Now, building a portfolio website. This is tricky because, like I said, as far as I've gone, making a digital portfolio is uploading animatics to Vimeo. How many of you here, if you had to, could build your own website from scratch? Okay, a lot of sorta. That's a whole job in and of itself, right? That's a whole skill set. You can get work building people websites. So it's tricky to have to learn all that. I understand that there are programs like Squarespace and Wix that kind of walk you through the whole process, but it is still very, very complicated. And it was super complicated 20 years ago. But I have known board artists working for Warner Brothers right now who put up their animatics on Instagram. And I saw it and I'm like, you guys got to hire this guy. He's amazing. And between me and June T, who I mentioned earlier, we both saw it, recommended it, and we got him work. I believe sites like Tumblr and Pinterest, you can post still images. I don't know, can you post videos on either of those? Yeah? Okay, I need a few people to tell me what are other good image hosting sites. Yes? You gotta yell it really loud. ArtStation. Okay, I've heard of that. I've never used it. Yes?
Pixiv.
Say it again.
Pixiv.
Pixiv.
Kind of different.
Okay, awesome. Yes?
TikTok.
I guess, yeah. And if you can provide possible employers a link to your TikTok, you can put your animatics up there. Yes? Was it TikTok? Yeah. You kids in TikTok.
My blog area application.
Right? I am afraid of TikTok because I'm afraid it will be a major time suck for them. My wife loves flipping through the funny videos about husbands and wives and recipes, and use it. If it works, use it. So Instagram is both for still images and moving images. Uploading your videos, like I said, YouTube, Vimeo, what other sites could work for you? Okay, great. We got YouTube and Vimeo. Now, if you need to, if you're building your own website and want to explain what it is people are looking at with text, that's fine. Again, don't make excuses for your work. Be proud of yourself. This is what I'm showing you and where I got the inspiration from or any other information. And again, make sure your contact info is on that space. So, making these animatics, it's tricky. You basically need to create your panels and then bring them into some kind of video editing software. Here's what I wanted to show you guys. This is something I wanted to show earlier in the class. These are some examples of a scene from a recent Harley episode that got cut. But this is what my rough drawings look like. I gridded out perspective lines for the buildings, and I'm drawing Harley in her bat outfit in red. That's the next panel. This truck with Ivy standing on it is speeding by. She kind of antics and then glides off screen. This is another rough. I try to keep it basic and simple, just getting the gesture. The detail comes in later. So that's like oh, stupid Apple. What was that? So that's like pose A and then pose B. This is from a show called Onyx Equinox. Has anybody here heard of that? It's on Crunchyroll. It was a really cool anime, but about Mayan and Aztec teas. So the previous was a rough with the characters in different colors. This is what a cleaned up version would look like, but it's not pretty, right? It doesn't look like an illustration, but it can kind of show you who's who, what the camera angle is. Now this is a program called Storyboard Pro. This is the standard for doing storyboards in television animation. Not necessarily features or video games, but it is a program made by a company called Toon Boom Animation out of Quebec. And you can't just buy the software and own it forever. You have to license it, and it's expensive. Okay, it costs like $1,000 up front, and then every 1 or 2 years, you got to throw them $200, I think, to keep the license current. If you're working for a studio and you're working from home, they'll hook you up. Or if you're working in-house, your computer will have this on it. But just to kind of run down, this is your viewing and drawing area. So these windows, this shows what sequence number, scene number, panel number, where you type in your action notes and your dialogue. Then you also have like brushes and materials you can use if you click one of these tabs here, and you can draw out each panel. It also has a timeline where you can create new scenes and divide those up into panels and adjust the timing of them. And your end result, you would then go to File, Export, and export it as a movie. There's your animatic. Now, I don't expect you all to go out and buy Storyboard Pro. They have a 30-day free trial, but you can only use it once per email address, I think. So it is. What are some workarounds we can use to make our own animatics and not pay $1,000? A lot of who's doing a dance party in the middle of it? If you can't beat them, join them, right? Most computers come with some kind of video editing software, right? Like PCs, I think the latest is just called Video Editor. Apple Macs have iMovie, and it's a way for parents to import photos and dissolve from one photo to the other and make a video of still images, right? We can cheat and use that as a way to make an animatic. Getting sound in there, I'm not sure, but you don't need sound for your portfolio, right? Our job isn't to make the sound, it's to make the pictures. So if you create the pictures either on paper and then scan them, or you draw them digitally, you can import each picture individually into some kind of video editing software and make your own animatic. Yes? What does? CapCut? That's great. I apologize because I don't know what people use. And so thank you, everybody who knows workarounds to create an animatic to show your storyboards. But once you have it and exported it as a movie file, what is it, MPEGs or QuickTime or dot movie? Yes? I'm so sorry, you gotta yell, because the dance party's killing you all here. Ibis Paint? Ibis. Okay, use that. Everybody write that down if you have something to write with. Ibis. Yep.
My question was, what was your portfolio like when you got your job? Not specifically as your portfolio, but what was it like?
When I got my first industry job, again, I didn't need to show the portfolio. I had to show them that I could do the job with a test they gave me. But then I had to show my portfolio, which was basically a Vimeo page with a bunch of animatics on it. Which is why I wanted to go back and show you have life drawing, have examples of the job you want. I got lucky. Whether it's comics, whether it's animation, whether it's illustration, there's no one way to get a job. And it really helps if you know people that know you want a job in that industry. Going to an art school, if it's the right one, can help by giving you that door that you can walk through and show your portfolio. But not all of them do. The school I used to work for, the Art Institute, is under a class action lawsuit because they got a lot of students in to take student loans. And they said, don't worry, I'll get you a job right after school. And then they did. So look into it, okay? Now, let's go ahead and open up the floor for any questions you have. And I apologize, you gotta yell because the dance part. So, yes.
This is showing like our actual portfolio. Should we include different art styles to show how flexible we are?
That is a great question. The question is, do we want to show that we can draw in different styles? Yes and no. What I would do if I were starting brand new is show that I can draw from life. That's a style. That's my own style. And then I can draw in the style of the show I'm applying for. Or in a style that's similar. Again, going back to my statement, if you're trying out for SpongeBob, don't show him back. So try to keep it there. What was your second question?
Second, should we include, mention the turnaround, should we include expression sheets?
Thank you. Yes, the question was, if you're trying as a character designer, do we only want to show model sheets and turnarounds or expression sheets? I don't know if you've seen online, if people have uploaded like a character looking surprised or mad or smiling. They're usually a bunch of heads in different angles. That's known as an expression sheet. We have them for Harley Quinn and for Poison Ivy, and they help a lot. And they help the animators, especially. If you're going for character design, show expression sheets. Yes. Excellent. Thank you. Yes, all the way in the back. Can you come up or yell? Sorry. Okay, what's the first part of the question? How do you know? Okay, the question was, how did I know what my career path would be? Why did I choose storyboards as opposed to character designs or backgrounds? I can start by the process of elimination. I didn't want to be a background artist. I hate drawing backgrounds, but you have to draw them and draw them well. So even if you hate it, learn to do it. Okay, I had to learn perspective and, I just figured that out, but I didn't want to make that my living. Character designs, here's the other thing. There are fewer character design jobs than there are storyboard jobs. Like for every show, they might have 3 character designers and 10 to 12 board artists. So your odds of getting a job as a board artist are higher. The real reason I knew I wanted to do storyboards,
My butt hurts. I look like a stand-up comic. The real reason was I started drawing comics, and comics are drawing scenes, right, with characters and backgrounds, and it is the closest cousin to storyboard. Someday I'm going to write a book on the similarities and differences between comics and storyboards. They're both sequential art, but and they both show different images that tell a story, but there's tons of differences, which maybe that'll be my program at a future SAC animation. So that's how I knew it was the job I was best suited for. I practiced telling a story, storytelling, meaning choosing the right angle and knowing what shot to put after the next shot. I practiced that more than I did making up cool costumes and armor and aliens. There are people far, far better than me. So, yeah, any more questions? Yes, with the pink hair. For art education and, right. This is a tricky one. I went to college. It wasn't a specific art school. I wanted to transfer from UCLA to Cal Arts. Have you guys heard of that school in Valencia? That school was created by Disney. You will get a job if you go to Cal Arts. However, it's very, very, very expensive. And you have to submit a portfolio to get in. So they're not just taking anybody who wants to go. That's what the Art Institutes did, and that's why they're getting sued. You know, Cal Arts wanted you to show a proclivity for art. You don't need to go. You need a good portfolio, right? The portfolio is what's going to get you the job. The school may give you pathways into the industry, or it may not. But, you know, if you can go to art school or any university and get an art degree, if you can, do it. I'm so glad I did. I make it a joke, like, oh, I never had to show my diploma to get a job, but I probably wouldn't be the artist I am if I didn't go to school. Now, YouTube is another great resource for learning. There are a ton of tutorials out. One of the guys who worked on Harley has his own channel, and I can't remember him, or I would recommend the heck out of it. His name is Maximus Paulson. Take a note of that. Look him up. They make a series, Max Paulson, Paulson. He and another guy, who I believe is a prop designer for Rick and Morty, make a series of great tutorial videos. So you can learn a lot of stuff if you put in the work and do the homework, right? You can't get better by watching videos. You get better by drawing, okay? Do it every day. Figure out what you do poorly and attack that. Learn it. Like I said, I hated backgrounds. And then I'm like, I got to do them. So I went after them. So, yeah.
I'm going to throw it. That my background. Is it because they have to be so much like plastic, like he was the one that did all those plastic backgrounds, you know, that you're like, you know.
I can tell you simply why I hate drawing backgrounds. It takes 10 times as long to draw them as it does the figures. It's just time intensive. Imagine drawing a skyscraper with a bunch of individual windows. You're not just drawing a grid, you're drawing the arch and the little frills on the side, or, you know, maybe. But it takes so much longer. And if you screw up one of the windows or one of your perspective lines,
the whole thing looks off. Now, that may be a good thing. Some shows do weird perspective on purpose, but that you got to learn the rules before you break them. Yes?
I was watching the weird show.
Yes.
Sometimes you have the full background, and sometimes you just kind of added some random, kind of like more hand-drawn stuff. Do you recommend for the portfolio, if you're uploading those, should they all use all those? Should have something, not just the figures on a plane.
Yep.
Or a line, horizon or something.
Excellent question. The question is, should your storyboard portfolio have a background in every panel? And the answer is yes. Unlike comics, comic books, you can get away with a lot of panels with no background. You just draw the background once, and then the reader kind of fills it in behind them, and it leaves space for word balloons, all that. In animation, you can get away with many shots with nothing in the background. At the minimum, it's going to be the sky. If you're doing a close-up shot, then draw a perspective grid to show the angle of the upshot. For a down shot, where all we see is the flat ground plane, draw a grid to show at what angle we're looking at. That's an excellent point and observation. A few of those backgrounds where I just had kind of active lines was to indicate that they're moving so quickly, it's like a blur behind them. I could have taken a shot of the constructor, the cranes and the containers, and moved it behind them really quickly, but I didn't want to. I was too lazy. So, yes.
So I'm going to comics. What's the reason going to the story?
Storyboards give you medical benefits. That's the simplest answer. Comics, you get more glory if you become famous, and it's your work the readers are seeing, whereas this is getting translated through a bunch of other artists. But it's your show, it's your poses, blah, blah, blah. But it is way harder to find comic work where you can make a living these days than it is animation. The animation workers have a guild, a union, which protects you from unfair work practices. They give you a medical benefit plan, which when you're young, you don't have to worry about. When you're my age, you got to see a lot more doctors, right? And I that's why I'm glad I started in comics and then moved to animation. There are also more jobs to fit more artists in. Drawing comics is really hard. You got to do a lot of work and a lot of detail for way less money, unless your book breaks huge. Not saying it's impossible. There are many comic artists making millions right now, but they are the 1% of artists that break through them. Draw your own comics. Be creative. They're really fun. You have full control of the writing, the art, the story. And it's a wonderful way to express your vision. It's difficult to make it into a full-time job that you can make a living on. So I'd say go for animation.
I heard someone mention what kind of school to go to.
Yeah.
Was when I wanted to make a suggestion.
Yeah.
As a state, I'm going right now.
Yes.
And the animation program is really, really good. A lot of stuff you mentioned is stuff that I got taught my very first semester. So
that's great.
I would recommend it.
So if you guys didn't hear, the recommendation was go to San Jose State. Before I was headed to UCLA, I was going to go to San Jose State. So it's had that reputation for decades, and it's not that expensive. Yes?
Also, Francisco State with an animation and minor specifically storyboard and
Perfect. San Francisco State. Cheaper than the Academy of Art University, but Academy of Art University is a good school as well. I went there, I taught there, I built a couple classes. for their online program. Okay, I think we're going to call it. We're a few minutes in, but yep.
Why don't you like the facial expression?
Why don't the facial expressions?
You kind of alluded to the fact you don't like facial expression model sheets.
Not that I don't. I said I don't like them. No, I love them.
You do?
Yeah, yeah. I said I don't like drawing backgrounds, but drawing the faces is awesome. Did I say I didn't like them? Okay.
Yeah.
No worries. After talking for hours and hours, whereas usually I'm in my office alone drawing with my cat, talking this much, sometimes you can ramble. That's it, everybody. If you had a question, I have a table down by the autograph area. Feel free to come up and I'll answer anything that didn't get answered. Thanks, you guys. That's fantastic.
Mike, what is